the Epicurean Connection, and thank you for joining us this morning. Today, we're going to cook with wild rice. This was a requested class by some of our guests who really wanted to learn how to cook with wild rice, as it's quite a healthy, nutritional rice to cook with, and it grows wildly throughout California and many of the lake regions throughout the United States. So I have two brands, and we use the Goose Valley, which is in the Delta in the Sacramento Valley, and we use Rancho Gold. And the reason I picked these two today is they both have mail order, and nowadays during SIP, people are looking for items they can order through the mail. These links will be included in your follow-up email for you. So for the wild rice, it is a little harder to cook than say a white rice or a brown rice. So therefore, we have a recipe on how to make a wild rice pilaf. And then from the wild rice pilaf, we have a recipe for you to make a wild rice soup and a wild rice salad with roasted vegetables and a fresh salad with cherry tomatoes and green onions. So first of all, for the wild rice recipe, we use a cup of rice to 4 to 6 cups of water. The wild rice really absorbs a lot of your water to cook your grains. So you can use water, chicken stock, or vegetable beef, your choice of stock. So today we have a light vegetable stock, and I started with chopped up onions and garlic and some olive oil. And so I'm going to saute the garlic and the onions, and we have those pre-chopped up, and you can use any onion you like, yellow, red, white, your choice of onion, whatever you may have in your kitchen currently. And you're only going to use 2 tablespoons. So, you know, use up the rest of the onion you cut up the night before dinner. I'm going to add these in, turning the flame on, and saute the garlic and the onions over a flame. And I'm going to sprinkle in a little bit of 1/4 teaspoon of salt and a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. And we use a fresh ground black pepper. You can use any pepper you like, and you can even choose to use white pepper if that's what you have at home. So as I saute these, once they're translucent, which takes about 2 minutes, then I add in the wild rice. And I have a pre-measured here today because we buy by the 5-pound bags, which is far more economical than buying by a small 8-ounce or 16-ounce bag. So once I get my garlic and onions translucent, then we'll add in the cup of wild rice. Just takes a moment. And the wild rice is really, really it's really flexible in your kitchen. You can add wild rice to a stuffing at Thanksgiving. You can add wild rice into a pasta salad and have like a pasta wild rice salad. It's just really fun to add into dishes that you're already currently making. And you really find you can use it with a lot of your leftovers. Make a rice salad with shredded chicken and a little pesto on top. It's delicious. So my garlic and my onions are translucent, a little golden brown now. I'm gonna add in the cup of wild rice. And then I like to saute the rice just for a minute or two, about no more than 2 minutes, just to warm it up and get it infused with the flavor of the garlic and the onion. Now I'm gonna add in, I have a little vegetable stock here. Get my rice simmering. You can hear it crackling. So I give it a stir to make sure nothing's burning on the bottom. And then what I do is I bring this to a boil. And once I get it to a rolling boil, then I reduce the heat to a simmer to keep it bubbling consistently. And then from there, it will take 45 to 60 minutes, up to an hour to cook. And the wild rice takes a lot longer than white rice, brown rice. So you do want to stir it. So every 5-10 minutes, give it a stir to make sure it's not burning on the bottom. And from here, it's the hurry up and wait phase. You get to sit and watch water boil and simmer. So what I did, I'm going to let this simmer with the lid ajar, bringing it to a boil. I have a bowl over here that has been cooked for 1 hour. And we cooked this last night, so it's actually been chilled. And if you look at it, it's actually cracked open. So when you start with a grain of wild rice, it looks like a little sliver of solid black, and it's hard to chew. Once you've cooked it for 45 minutes to an hour, it cracks open, like, when you're baking a roll and the roll cracks open when you're baking. It's perfect like that. So once the wild rice is cracked open and it's tender, but it still has resistance and it still has a bite to it. It's never going to be soft. It's always going to have a good bite to it. So this one I cooked just as we are last night. So now I've chilled it. So for you today, I have a couple recipes that will be sent out to you this afternoon. We made a roasted vegetable pilaf. So we roasted bell peppers, broccoli, cauliflower, carrots, onions. And from there, you can now see the pilaf here that has now all the different roasted vegetables. And what's nice about this dish, we use this in our catering and our classes, is the wild rice pilaf we can serve year round, because you can serve it chilled. Today in Sonoma, it's going to be 100 degrees. We're all going to have wild rice salad for lunch today. Maybe sprinkle a little feta on top. But 3 months ago when it was rainy and cold, we made the same recipe, but we served it warm with shredded chicken. So it's very diverse with the season and also what temperature you'd like to serve it at. So the wild rice pilaf served warm or chilled. So this one really is simple. It has roasted vegetables, salt, pepper, olive oil in it, and nothing else, and it's just truly delicious. Over here, we have a third dish that we made with wild rice. And this is the wild rice that we cooked last night. And on this one, we added cherry tomatoes, we added green onions, fresh basil, some olive oil, and balsamic vinegar, tossed it together, and then we sprinkle it with feta cheese. And that is one of my favorite summer salads to serve. It's so simple and so easy. So if you think about what you already have in your kitchen, instead of having to go out and purchase more ingredients, look what you have. If you have cauliflower and broccoli, roast that off. Oh, here we go. We are at a rolling boil. 1 second, everybody. We have a rolling boil coming over here. Mr. Ben, would you like to come look? If you'd like. It may steam the camera, but it's fun. So we're literally simmering it at a boil. And I'm going to turn, now that it's boiling, I'm going to turn it down and just allow it to gently simmer for the next 45 minutes. We'll all be off and gone, but it'll still be continuing to simmer, and we'll eat it for dinner tonight here. But does anyone have any questions so far on the wild rice? Any questions coming in, Oz? So, okay. So what's really nice about the two brands that we like to use here is the Goose, I would say Goose Valley. It's a women-owned cooperative company, and they're B Corp, so it's employee-owned, and they work with the farmers to keep sustainable farming alive in the Central Valley or in the Dixon, Chico area. And you can order these mail order or find them in your retailers. And Steve at Rancho Gordo, he is also he works closely with his farmers and really helps them do sustainable farming, and he purchases direct from farmers. So you're getting quality products when you're working with these companies. And what's nice, we do a lot of catering for duck hunters, and duck hunters love wild rice because they're used to be out in the fields, in the rice paddies, and that's where they love to duck hunt. So it's a common request for us to be serving wild rice because the duck hunters have spent many hours out in the rice fields. So it's a nice kind of collaboration project with the duck hunters, with the rice farmers, and then we are honored to cook for them and serve them food. Yes.
So we've got a question here. Can you talk about the need to clean the rice prior to cooking? And if yes, the best process you can, then saute as you did.
Yes, that's a great question. Both of these rices that I use, I don't have to wash them. They've done a very good job of cleaning their rices. If you would like, and sometimes I do, I just take my rice, I put it in a colander and just simply rinse it through with warm water just to make sure if there's any rocks. So maybe if you buy some at a farmer's market from a smaller farmer that may not have, the machines to clean the rice, just rinse it and feel it with your hands, because you may find pebbles because it is growing in the dirt. And that way you can make sure you have a clean rice, and then drain it. And then I would continue the saute. So add the rice into the saute of olive oil, garlic, and onions. That's a great question. Thank you. So let's see, this one is cooking along, and this one here is still rock solid. The wild rice grains are not even cracked at all. And we went from a boil to a simmer. So you definitely want to let it, simmer, continue to simmer, and allow it to cook for the 45 minutes to an hour. So for the roasted vegetables, what I do is I take my fresh vegetables and I chop them as small as you can. And then I toss them with olive oil, salt, and pepper and roast them in the oven at 350. And this recipe is on your sheet that will come to you this afternoon. So use your leftovers. And honestly, these were from a photo shoot that we had. And these are the vegetables we used to make a cheese platter. So no reason to waste them. So I have them out here. Then we chop them up to serve in the rice here. And you have the rice salad. So It's also, if you ever make, you can stuff chicken with the wild rice when it's cooked. And if you do the stuffed chicken or the stuffed turkey breast or the stuffed pork tenderloin with the wild rice, I like to cook it and then cook it a little longer so it's soft. So when you're rolling it into the turkey, it's still a little softer than like a wild rice pilaf salad. But that's up to you and the texture that you enjoy. But a chicken breast sliced down the center and stuffed with the wild rice and then roasted is delicious. But you want to make sure you use a fully cooked wild rice when you cook your chicken or your pork, or the dish. You can stuff eggplant, stuff zucchinis in the summertime, especially when they grow too big and you find one in your garden. The wild rice pilaf and zucchini is absolutely wonderful. And, you know, a lot of people don't think of serving the cheese with rice, but a sprinkle of feta or a sprinkle of mozzarella in there to bind it when you make a stuffed zucchini is wonderful. So I did put out some lettuce here to show that, you know, you could also have a salad that's sprinkled with wild rice. So like you would do a quinoa, but use a wild rice. So make a nice, beautiful, fresh green leaf salad and then sprinkle it with wild rice, maybe cranberries and raisins, and then a balsamic vinaigrette, and it's heavenly, a nice fresh summer salad. So you're eating salad with a sprinkle of rice versus a rice salad and a little bit of lettuce. So wild rice is very flexible on how to serve it, hot, cold, within a dish on its own. So I hope that you'll enjoy making the wild rice pilafs. And if anybody has any other questions, Oz, got a quiet group here today.
Yeah, they're kind of quiet. I think you're doing such a great job that you're answering all their questions before they even ask them.
Well, without further ado, we'll look at this white rice here before we finish. And these cooking classes are offered every Thursday at 11 o'clock, and they last around 20 minutes, and they're complimentary to the public. You can invite your friends to join us. And we like to feature ingredients that are also EBT, WIC, and SNAP approved. So if someone's on food stamps, they can make all of these recipes. In addition to anyone else can also make these recipes. And I love that aspect of this particular cooking class. So you're welcome to review some of our YouTube videos on the Epicurean Connection. We've put up our past classes and we'll continue to put up the future classes. So please do enjoy, take your family and have a cooking class. So thank you very much for joining us. I'm Sheana Davis. I want to thank Oz for moderating, Ben Sessions for filming, and Karina Davis for learning to moderate. So thank you all for being here today. And I hope that you all will enjoy making some wild rice. Have a great day.